go over first to Dr. Tara. Doctor, thank you for joining us this evening on CNN News 18. Doctor, I'm actually coming to you first to ask you to set the stage for our audiences. Could you explain to us, the timeline of this issue? We took our audiences back through data figures. We know that analysts have been saying, warning in fact, that this is an issue from 2018. Our first recorded incidents are from around 2019. But tell us a little bit more, Doctor, about the Punjab border area where these incidents take place. Tell us about what it's like for security officials, BSF and the Punjab police, to try to counter this. Then we'll ask you further questions.
See, the thing is, the whole narco scene has also shifted. Okay, you had the Golden Triangle, you have the Golden Crescent, all that has been going on for years. But in recent months, what has happened is that the Taliban have virtually destroyed the entire crop in Helmand, which was a core area, and probably some adjoining areas. So that means there is a huge shift in the drug trade, which might, what most experts are saying, that this could shift to Pakistan. And that the main, the dons who are in Pakistan, who obviously will operate under the security, with the knowledge of the security agencies. These are huge, massive operations. You had, for example, that this man, Haji Salim network, who was there recently. And his network came to light because it was so big that it was encompassed, I think, even parts of Moscow. It's all over. They're like an industry. So for these guys, drones is peanuts. It's not a big deal. Drones are being used for commercial purposes. It's readily available across the net. So to get this across to India, this is the easiest way, rather than get a human courier who will then be caught, and then we, get interrogation and get all the details about this person's network, for instance. Haji Salih, this guy is just one person. There's a bunch of them operating inside Pakistan, and who cannot, by virtue of the nature of the Pakistan state, cannot operate unless the security is with them. So in Punjab, what the border is like. There's high, grass, there is cultivation. It is humans also cross. It's not that. But the drone is by far the easiest. Every terror group has got a drone. Our problem is, narcotics is a huge, huge issue. We are one of the largest consumer states today. We were not earlier, we are now. Is that an ISI objective? Because it is eroding Punjab. It is eroding the youth of your country. If that is the objective, they are succeeding very well.
Okay. Ma'am, I want to ask you one more follow-up question before I go over to the other two guests. Ma'am, can you tell us, for a few years now, the Indian security establishment has connected what is described sometimes in the Pakistani media as smuggling initiatives to, as you in your answer said, to the ISI. Can you tell our audiences more about that connection, that larger network, so that we can have that information before we go over to our guest from Pakistan?
See, long back, there was a full report. It was called, it was a report by the CIA, which came out, I think, in Friday Times in Pakistan, detailing to the last digit what was going on in terms of the drug network. Now, that was some time back. But the point is, this is a country which has no money, which is broke. So if you want to, they've been organized narcotics traffickers during the Afghan jihad. Organized. This was done through the Pakistan Army logistics style, which everybody knows. The US turned a blind eye to that. That also we know. So you don't just blame Pakistan. Now the question is, if they want to fund their activities, where's the money going to come from? So that is where the angle comes in of what the ISI would want to do, and what they are forced perhaps nowadays to do, because these guys are they're not going to do all this without some blessing from how far that blessing goes, we still don't know. But without the security state's blessing, no smuggler can operate, especially these large scale guys.
Okay, Doctor, stay with us. Let's go over now to the voice that we have joining us from Pakistan, Major Yasir Janjua. Sir, thank you for joining us this evening on CNN News 18. Sir, the statement that we actually played out for our audiences is one that came forward, and I want to very carefully read out Malik Mohammed Ahmad Khan's formal designation here. He is the Special Assistant on Defence to the Pakistan Prime Minister. Sir, that's a voice from within the administration. He's again and again referred to, at least in our media, as a close aide of Shehbaz Sharif. So isn't this deeply embarrassing for the Pakistan state for a statement like this to be made on record? A statement that Indian security forces have been saying has existed for years now, to have this kind of confirmation.
Ma'am, thank you very much for inviting me on the show on this issue. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Malik Mohammed Ahmad Khan has said something wrong. He has said it, he must own it, and he's a responsible representative of the Prime Minister. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the drones are not flying into India carrying drugs. However, unfortunately, what you just saw, as a news reporter or as a TV channel, especially with the name of CNN attached to you, you should give both sides of the picture. I would appreciate if your investigative journalism would have shown, okay, you've shown, I think, 357 instances of Pakistani drones flying into India. Can you please also do some research, and probably in your next program, because you will not do it now, show how many drones from India are flying into Pakistan that have been shot down? Now, the problem Dr. Taira is saying and blaming it onto ISI, it's very easy and convenient for everybody in India to blame anything and everything onto ISI. Whether it's a pigeon flying in from Pakistan, you blame it on ISI. So these are otherwise not a pigeon, this is drone. So you will think, oh, ISI is doing it. We know there is a phobia about ISI. We know you guys. I'm not trying to create a heated discussion. You're a channel which I love because of the conversations and the debates take place in a very, very congenial atmosphere. But the fact is, don't blame everything. I mean, I was on 2 programs in the last 2 hours right now on 2 different Indian channels. There's a woman that has gone into Pakistan, and now there's a woman that has crossed into India illegally, and she was being blamed as an ISI agent. Understandable that you think she must have been an ISI agent. Now that the woman has come into Pakistan, how can she be an ISI agent? And honey trap, the term is not being well understood. So my point here is, you blame everything on ISI. This terrorism of narcotics network. This is the pain in the neck for even the Americans. Even the U.S.-Mexico border is not secure. So with all the might, with all the resources that the Americans have, even they cannot completely strike down on the narcotics network, and the drugs are still able to be penetrated into the American soil. So how on earth can you sit here and think that the India-Pakistan joint efforts, even if there are none, however, but even if they become jointly involved in curtailing the drugs on both the countries, I am not going to sit here and apologetically say that this is a good thing. This is very bad. If the drugs are being sent into India, in Punjab or any other region, from narcotics peddlers in Pakistan, this is absolutely not defensible, and this is condemnable to the highest level, because youth, the youth who are going to get involved into these drugs, whether they are Indians or Pakistanis, they are my children, they are your children, we all should condemn it unequivocally.
Okay,
there is no doubt about it.
My hope,
we must not anyway.
Major Janjua, 1 second, let me just say, my hope from this discussion that we're going to have, we have about 9 minutes left, and I'm going to try to go to our other panelists too. But my hope from both you and from the other defense expert who joins us, Major General A.K. Sivach and Dr. Tara, is to try to find what you talked about, which is a collaborative solution. Now, we'll have those discussions. Sir, feel free. You said earlier that you have numbers with you. Feel free to bring those numbers. I want us to have a discussion about those numbers.